Hi, my name is Father Mike Dekowitz, and I'm the director of the Addiction Recovery Ministry. Every Monday, we take a few moments just to reflect briefly on issues about addiction and recovery. For the past several weeks, we've been looking at the 12 steps and just often offering some short reflections on these 12 steps. Today, we're going to look at step 7, which says, humbly ask how to remove our shortcomings. The core of step 7 is humility. And humility is very misunderstood. Humility is not about denying or hiding our gifts and talents. Humility is not about humiliation. It's not about bragging. It's about honesty. Radical honesty. Looking at ourselves as we are. Seeing our own truth. Accepting our own reality. Owning our faults and shortcomings, but also accepting our gifts and talents. I think it's true to say that those who suffer from some form of substance abuse disorder are insecure narcissists. Now think of that phrase, insecure narcissist. A narcissist is someone who needs to be acknowledged and noticed. But underneath that veneer of bravado, there's a real insecurity. It's really important that that person be noticed by others because that person doesn't really like who they are. Insecure. I believe most, if not all, addicts and alcoholics feel less than, not good enough, different, not fitting in, living their lives with the terror that somehow they'll be found out. Living that way can be exhausting because you're always being what you perceive others want you to be because you don't really know who you are. And as a result, you're intrinsically dishonest. And you mask that dishonesty, that bravado masks your insecurity. So you put on a persona. You put on a persona of security. Sometimes even a persona of arrogance or belligerency. If you've been around someone who's struggling with an addiction or an alcoholic, then you yourself, you know that you can be arrogant and belligerent. That crust, that arrogance, that belligerence, that persona, that crust of narcissism protects your core of vulnerability. That wall, that crust is there so you can't get hurt. And since you build a crust around yourself, this crust of narcissism to hide your insecurity, you also cannot be intimate. Because intimacy demands honesty. And if your whole persona is built on a lie, how can you be intimate if you can't be honest? The booze, the drug protects your core. It protects your core until it just doesn't anymore. All this acting and arrogance blinds you to see or know even who you are. Step 7 asks that we truly look at ourselves as we are. It is the 7th step for a reason. We can't begin at step 7. We need to be sober for a while before we can begin to see beyond the facade that we have built around ourselves. We need to clean the fog out of our brain for a while so we can begin to see clearly. Now, with some clean time, we can have the courage to begin to see who we are as we are. This revelation, I think, teaches us humility. Because we now can see and embrace the fact that we are human. And like all people, we are not perfect. We are flawed. We are broken. But we're also gifted, talented, and loved. Seeing who we are, who we truly are, teaches us humility. We see that humility brings strength out of weakness. We begin to realize that humility has allowed us to admit our powerlessness, not hopelessness, our powerlessness. And on that foundation of powerlessness, we can begin our journey into freedom and liberation, and gaining a power greater than ourselves, trusting in God's providence and in God's love. We can begin to embrace that phrase, let go and let God. So we can ask God in all honest humility to remove our shortcomings. So we can honestly thank God in all humility for our gifts and talents. So we can begin now to move outside of ourselves. And we can bring who we are. We can bring that to provide service for others, especially others who are still suffering from some form of substance abuse disorder. So as we begin this journey, we begin the journey now outside, we begin now the journey to service. We acknowledge that we are powerless. We know we are broken. We know we are loved. Now, let's again conclude with together saying the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Goodbye, and God bless.